China expels Canadian envoy in diplomatic retaliation. U.S. opens new embassy in Tonga to counter Chinese regime in Pacific. Chinese baby product firm diversified to more adult and overseas markets amid population decline. China and U.S. debt issues may dominate G7 finance chiefs' talks.
Beijing has expelled Jennifer Lalonde, a Canadian diplomat in Shanghai, as it retaliated against Ottawa for expelling a Chinese diplomat amid harassment allegations. In a statement on May 9th, Beijing said it had ordered Jennifer Lalonde, a consul of the Consulate General of Canada in Shanghai, to leave the country before May 13th. The announcement came out just hours after the Trudeau administration declared Chinese diplomat Zhao Wei persona non grata over concerns in late May 8th. It came after a Globe and Mail report on May 1st, which showed that he was allegedly involved in an influencing campaign against Conservative MP Michael Chom. Citing a top-secret intelligence report, the publication claimed that Zhao targeted the family of Chong, who, unlike him, were in Hong Kong. It said Beijing wanted to pressure him for pursuing its treatment of the Uyghur minorities and send warning signals to others who may try to follow in his footsteps. Upon learning the news, Chom criticized the Canadian government for taking too long to undertake a proper measure. The top-secret report shows that Canada was already aware of the campaign in 2021. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau maintained he had no knowledge of the situation until the Globe and Mail article. China, on the other hand, states that it has the right to react in a reciprocal way when Zhao was expelled. It warned, China reserves the right to further react. During a heated exchange with Chom on May 4th, Foreign Affairs Minister Melanie Joly foresaw that Beijing might also punish Ottawa economically.
Expulsion, because there will be consequences. I think it's important that Canadians know what we've learned from the Michael experience is that, of course, China and the PRC will take action. These interests, including economic interests, consular interests, and also diplomatic interests will be
Minister, I can't think of any
affected,
interest.
and therefore, no.
The U.S. has opened a new embassy in Tonga to increase Washington's diplomatic presence in the Pacific region to counter the rising influence of the Chinese Communist Party. According to the State Department, the new U.S. embassy was officially opened in Nuku'alofa, Tonga's capital and largest city, on May 9th. In a statement, spokesperson Matthew Miller of the State Department said, "This opening symbolizes the renewal of our relationship and underlines the strength of our commitment to our bilateral relations, to the people of Tonga, and to our partnerships in the Indo-Pacific region." The embassy in Tonga would help the U.S. deploy more diplomatic staff and resources, including the possible appointment of a resident ambassador. The U.S. established diplomatic relations with the Pacific country in 1972, with relationships dating back to 1886. The opening of the U.S. Embassy in Tonga came after the White House announced on Tuesday that President Joe Biden would visit Papua New Guinea this month after the G7 summit in Japan. Biden will become the first U.S. sitting president to visit the country, confirming the U.S. commitment to the Pacific region amid the CCP's influence. The U.S. opened an embassy in the Solomon Islands earlier this year after 30 years. The reopening of a U.S. embassy in the Solomons comes after the CCP signed a security pact with the Solomon Islands last year. Washington also has been in talks to renew cooperation deals with three major Pacific Island countries, the Marshall Islands, the Federated States of Micronesia, and Palau.
Last year's historic drop in China's population has taken a heavy toll on many Chinese baby product firms. Shrinking domestic sales have driven those companies to develop new streams of revenue. Reuters reported on May 11th that China's baby and children's product manufacturers sought to diversify into adult offerings or overseas countries such as Southeast Asia and India. Hong Kong-listed Health and Happiness, or H&H, is one such firm. Nearly half of its revenue came from baby products such as infant formula, food, and diapers. According to the company's interim chief executive, Akash Bedi, its Dodi diapers saw a drop of 12% in revenue last year. H&H's priorities for the coming year and beyond are global expansion and diversification. For example, the company developed the adult nutrition sector globally with its Swiss-branded vitamins and supplements. Consequently, H&H gained a 12.5% increase in global income for this sector, which can offset the decline in diaper demand. Betty said via email, in newer markets such as Vietnam, Thailand, India, and Malaysia, the Swiss brand has been growing both offline and online channels to grow share. Fujina-based Henggan International Group Company, a manufacturer of sanitary napkins, diapers, and tissues, experienced a fall of 1.4% in overall diaper sales and a 13% rise in adult diaper revenue. Noting huge room for development in the elderly segment, Henggan plans to invest more in adult care products, such as its Elderjoy diaper brand. The firm also aims to expand its market share both domestically and in Southeast Asia. Infant formula manufacturer China Feihe, the largest in the nation, suffered a 6.4% decline in sales. Sales for Os Nutria Dairy Corp Ltd dropped 9.1%, while those for Yashi Li International Holdings Ltd fell 15.7%. Shares for the three companies now trade between a third and a fifth of their all-time highs. All are expanding for older people. According to research from Euromonitor, China dominates the world's market for baby food and diapers, with $37.9 billion in sales, accounting for around a third of annual global sales. The knock-on effects from China's historic population fall in 6 decades have been quick, and this year is expected to see the market contract for the first time since Euromonitor started keeping track in 2012. Including this year's drop to $37.6 billion, it is predicted to decrease 2% to $37.2 billion by 2025. The meeting of Group of Seven, or G7 finance leaders this week, is going to be overwhelmed by China and US debt woes, as reported by Reuters. China is the world's second largest economy and the second top external holder of US debt. While G7 finance chiefs will seek to lessen their heavy reliance on China, they also try to get Beijing's cooperation in solving global debt issues. Besides, the 3-day summit beginning on May 11th in the Japanese city of Niigata will be overshadowed by the rising prospect of a US debt default, which could rattle financial markets, already uneasy following recent bank failures. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen will participate in the G7 finance leaders' discussions, but US President Joe Biden hinted on May 9th that he would cancel his trip to Hiroshima for the meeting next week if the debt crisis is not resolved. In a warning of the damage a default could inflict on the US economy and financial markets, Yellen said on May 8th, "The dollar is regarded, and Treasury securities, as the bedrock safe asset in the entire global financial system." She added, "It's trusted, and it is the ultimate safe asset, and a failure to raise the debt ceiling, impairing the US credit rating, would put that at risk, so that is a real concern." Japan, the largest holder of US debt globally, and the G7 chair this year, is having trouble dealing with the US debt issue. According to Japanese officials, other important topics to be covered at this week's G7 meeting include ways to fortify the global banking system, measures to stop Russia from evading sanctions over its invasion of Ukraine, and hazards to the world economy, like persistently rising inflation. They added that after the summit, Japan plans to release a united G7 statement.